Hello everyone, my name is Akshita and this is the third video in Team 542's FTC CAD series. Today we're going to be talking about how assembling something relates to how you CAD something. And we're not actually starting off in SolidWorks, we're starting off in Paint. So let's get started. First, we're going to start off by understanding what supports are. And to understand what supports are, you have to understand how a 3D printer works. So when you're 3D printing with PLA, which is just plastic, you start off with hard plastic, which is filament, and then that filament gets melted and the 3D printer creates an object by printing in layers. And what I mean by printing in layers is first it starts off by printing layers and layers of that melted plastic, and then once that hardens it prints another layer of melted plastic, and it keeps going with many layers until it reaches the desired object. And the reason that this is important to understand is especially when you're printing parts like this. So you might be wondering, why does this part kind of stand out? Well, it's because of this over here. The printer doesn't have an issue with this area because it just keeps going layer, but it does start to have an issue when it gets to this area, because every single layer before the previous one on this area has something to sit on, so the printer has something to put the next layer on. But when it gets over here, it doesn't have anything to sit on, and if the printer tried to put a layer over here, it would just start to sag and fall down, and it wouldn't print the part properly. What would end up happening would be something like this, where the print starts spaghettiing and sagging, and it wouldn't turn out very well. To prevent this from happening, we use something called supports. Supports are made out of the same exact material as whatever you're printing, so in this case, the supports will be made out of PLA, and the supports are basically just a less filled in structure that's created before the rest of the part is created. So before this layer starts printing, the printer would create some sort of support, and the support is usually much weaker than the actual part, and it's easy to remove, but it is connected to the part. So once that support is there, the printer actually has something to print the layers on, and there's no more issue of this. And you can see an example of supports here. So in this print, you have, for example, this area that can't be printed without supports. So the printer creates a couple supports before printing that. And you can see how the supports are very different from the actual print itself. Now, supports are a really great thing, and you wouldn't be able to print a lot of objects without them, but there's also a couple of downsides. Now, as you can see here, supports can take up a lot of unnecessary material. So that's one downside. Another downside is that when you remove supports, they can end up messing with the quality of the print. And that means messing with the smoothness or the print itself. And you can see here how that has affected this one. And another downside to supports is that it makes your print take a lot longer than it would without supports. So that's the third downside. So something to think about when you're CADing something is whether or not you can CAD it in a way that doesn't require supports. So for example, this would not require supports if you just had it CADed as just a normal plate. But sometimes you can't do that, so you have to find workarounds. So let's look at this example over here. So imagine you're CADing this part. This part requires supports in two areas. Supports over here, and I'm going to be drawing the supports in red, and supports in here. This area is pretty obvious because we just went over a similar example, but the reason that this inner hole requires supports is because of this part over here and everything above it. Because this entire area would not be able to print without previous layers beneath it. So this would require a lot of supports. But one thing you can do to reduce the use of supports is adding fillets. You can see in this example over here that there's been a fillet added over here and over here. And the reason that this helps is because it takes away from the super sharp edge. So this would not be able to be printed without supports, but it would require significantly less. So maybe only supports over here and in the middle over here. But there's one more thing you can do that can help completely get rid of supports in general, and that is using chamfers. So this part over here would require 0 supports at all. And the reason that is because when you're 3D printing, there's this thing called an overhang angle. What the overhang angle is how much of an angle is created when you look at the vertical line from the part and the angled part. So this angle over here. The printer can print any parts with a 45-degree angle or overhang angle or less without supports, and most chamfers that you add are automatically 45 degrees, which will help completely get rid of supports in general. Alright, we're back in SOLIDWORKS, and now we're going to talk about considering things like screws and wires when you're CADing. So for a quick second, imagine that I made this part and I want it to screw into the holes over here. And you can see that there's holes, and I CADed it so that the holes line up. Now initially you may be thinking, okay, yeah, this looks good, the holes are aligned, everything fits. But in reality, it's actually impossible to screw this in at all. So whenever you're screwing something in, you have to secure the screw on the other side by using a lock nut. And instead of using a lock nut, you can have a threaded hole, but as we can see, these holes are not threaded. So if we're putting the screw in from the bottom side, we would put it through the hole, and there wouldn't be any issues so far. But then, when we try to put the nut on the other side, you can see that it starts clipping on this side of the part that we made. So you can't put it all the way down. So you wouldn't be able to screw it in by putting the screw in on the bottom side. And then if we try to put it in with the screw on the top side, the same thing would happen due to the head of the screw clipping on the same side. So then we realized that one of the issues with this part is that the holes are way too close to the edge, and that we need to change that. Now, if you didn't think about this while you were CADing the part, then you would only figure it out when you were actually assembling it in real life with the screws and the lock nuts. And that would be an issue because you've CADed for so long, waited for so long for it to print, you finally got to assembling, and it can't work because of this one issue that you forgot to think about. Now, this is not the only example where some oversight like this could happen, and because of that, you have to always be thinking about how you're going to assemble something after you finish CADing it. So that means thinking about screws, thinking about wires, thinking about other parts around it and how they all fit together. Next up, we're going to talk about the evaluate and markup tools. So when you're CADing, you're usually going to have to get measurements for parts that already exist. For example, imagine that you're making a servo mount. You would have to know how long the servo is, both lengthwise and widthwise, and also how big these holes are to mount it, and the distance between the holes, and all of that stuff. So one way that you can get those measurements is obviously by looking at the specs on the website. But if you need some other specific measurement that's not on there, you can always use the measure tool. So the measure tool can be accessed by up here. So when you're using the measure tool, you can click multiple different things to measure between, or you can just click two things to measure between. So for example, if I click just these two, you can see that the measure tool gives me the distance between these two and also the length of the lines. You can also use it on arcs and points. So if I click this point to this point, I'll be given various different measurements. And be careful with which measurements exactly you use. For example, you can see that the green one gives me a straight line between the two, and the black line just gives me the diagonal measurement between the two. Another tool that's pretty underrated in my opinion is the markup tool. You can access the markup tool right next to the measure tool, and it basically just lets you draw in SOLIDWORKS, and you won't have any issues with moving around your parts. So here you can see that I can draw around, I can change the color, erase, do a lot of cool stuff. And this will help you when you're trying to visualize what you want to CAD or assemble in SOLIDWORKS itself. And finally, I'm going to show you guys really quickly how to download and use CAD files from websites. So right now I'm looking to download a CAD file of this motor. Usually if you scroll to the bottom, there's going to be a step file on the website of the part. Make sure you download that zip file and then extract it. Once you extract it, you should see the file, but instead of being a SOLIDWORKS part, it's going to be an STL file. Now you can still open STL files in SOLIDWORKS, but instead of just double clicking like you usually would on a file that you want to open, you go to File, Open, wait for a little bit, and then you find your part, and you can open it.
$10 later.
And okay, there we go, it loaded, finally. Sorry about that. But once it does load and you want to use a part, you have to make sure to save it as a SolidWorks part, because right now it's still only saved as an STL file. And you save that just as normal, Control S, save all, and there you go, you can just rename it to whatever you want. So that is the end of this video. I hope you guys learned something new and get a lot of practice with CAD.